The Jeep joint.
Like a lamb.
Happy Saturday, everyone.
Yes. Happy Saturday.
Is the second episode of Shoutout with Mia, Bre, myself. Yes. You gotta laugh through life. We'll get into that as we talk today on our topic, but we start at 4:30. It's 4:22 by our clock. So again, we're here broadcasting live. Real empowered women sharing real life situations and wisdom with the hope of educating, uplifting, inspiring, and empowering other persons with a primary focus to our women healing, but for men and our children as well. So come in, get comfortable. As always, invite for attendance your age-appropriate children.
Hey everyone, it's Bre on my Instagram live. Come on in. This is girl talk. To be honest, shop talk. You know, we at my shop, Tangles and Locs by Bre, Tangles and Locs Natural Hair Boutique, and we just chilling. Y'all can come on in, say hey to Mia.
What's up, y'all?
Hey to Nicole. And hey y'all. So we're gonna be starting our conversation in a few shakes. Just wanna come on. If the music is too loud, let us know. If you can't hear us, anything is not clear, just let us know so we can adjust it.
And because we like to stay focused on the unscripted dialogue, none of us have spoken about what we're going to contribute to the open conversation because we want it to be, as always, authentic. And again, because we're sharing real life experiences and or situations that we know someone close to us or in our space is going through or have gone through, we don't discuss it. We will do our best to stay focused on topic, but if you have questions or comments, I'll try to glance up at the screen. I don't have my glasses again.
And you know I can't see.
Okay, 3 blind mice. We'll do the best we can. I see my baby sister Danielle McNeil is tuned in. Love you. Everybody says we look alike, but I tell them you look like me because I'm older. So click share, like.
I'm just a tad.
And of course she's bossing me
Just
around.
a tad.
Y'all,
I just said just a tad.
I'm used to it.
No. I can come right there. Okay, there you go. Come try to see right there.
So we are live from Tangles, Braids, and Locs by Bre. She never does this, so I always have to jump in and do it. She also is
Just get in the water. Y'all. Yeah, guys, I'm a certified juice therapist. I haven't gotten to announce that yet, but I'm a certified juice therapist, so I'm really into making cold pressed juices. My passion is about colon health, staying healthy within, cleaning out your colon, because we know our colon is connected to each and every organ on our body. So when we keep that clean, we keep our body clean and keep us away from disease, sickness, inflammation, and things like that. So, guys, Juice World Cold Pressed Juices is Juice World, WHIRL, Cold Pressed Juices on Instagram as well as Facebook. And, and I put tips and stuff on there, you know, little small things that you can really just think about or look at different. Sometimes I put little things I cook on there, simple things. It's up and coming. And
so, which is ironic because she does the juicing and the hair care. I have not cut my locks, so please stop bombarding me with the The inbox messages, my locks are underneath. My designer is a powerhouse. She's also my friend. We met modeling together, but she also does my hair. So, and then you have yes, She Reads. Make sure you go to the page, get fitted and styled for your body type and your personality. Make a full authentic statement when you step outside the house. Wow. Shout out to her. She's amazing.
That's what's up.
And then you had Mia Fitness Assassin Kofi. I think the whole world know who she is.
Yeah, and today I tell you, me and I got to give a shout out to our friend D.E. Roman, because we held it down today. We were everybody's cheerleader, so we had like fitness events at the Be More Health Expo. We were there since 10 in the morning. Yeah, it was today. Yeah, so I mean, cranked up cardio. Will, oh my God, Will tore it up. He was on stage with Dr. J and Terrell and Tanisha and April, and they kicked it off. And of course, London Lioness, she did great. Me, Pam, Kim, Pam, and Kim, they were my girls. I do want to give this disclaimer. If Pam Massey tries to badmouth me in any kind of way, I just want you guys to know that she's just exhausted. You don't have to really listen to her or believe any word that she's saying, because she's just tired, okay? So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. If you see anything on Facebook, ignore it, okay? Okay, yeah.
Or don't. It's probably some truth to it.
But we held it down, so all the way up to Caribbean Fete Fitness at 3 o'clock. But when I tell you my legs are gone, they gone. They done.
And this is how you know I talk a lot about being committed to the process and being consistent within it. So both of these ladies have been up early this morning, running a business, supporting various businesses, and just the overall importance of wellness. I try not to use the word fitness, because when I think about wellness for myself, it's mind, body, spirit. Is totality, everything. Because you can't be physically, seemingly on a surface healthy, but your spiritual and your emotional is lacking substance. But again, we talked about that in our first show, and I'm sure we're going to tap on it in this show. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
As always, we can't do anything without inviting God in the presence of it. So in your hearts and your minds, let's just know that we're in the presence of the Almighty. And start with our open discussion. So we talked about the last time healing.
Right.
And I think that was an amazing first show.
And it'll probably be a continuation too.
Yeah,
There's so much that goes along with it. So,
definitely.
There's so many parts. It's so big.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be talking about some form of healing from here on out, honestly, because it's just so many different. Yeah.
But the sole focus today, which still has that healing piece connected to it, is more of a question. And we closed out with you, Mia, which I thought was really amazing. So I'm just going to introduce the topic of discussion, and then I'm going to give the table, the floor in the room to you. How does your friends, family, supporters, and just loved ones show up for you in times of crisis and adversity? How do they show up for you?
Yeah, very important to me. I know to all of us. It's very interesting looking on Facebook, and of course, we all have an opportunity to wear masks and be whatever we want to on, Facebook, essentially. What's very interesting, Bree, you probably have gotten wind of it, but you see Nicole and I's banter and interaction on Facebook. And what's very... Did you say... You didn't say something like that, okay? Jeez. Okay, I'm just saying. But anyway.
It's shame.
But we have a genuine loving friendship with one another. And in that friendship, what I am coming to realize is that because people don't know how, I got to put this out here too, because people don't know how to be friends. We have gotten comments about people thinking that we're gay.
Wow.
Oh, girl, please. We have gotten it all because they see how we interact, and whenever there is a closeness with anybody, people always want to taint relationships, especially if they have never had that experience themselves. They don't know true and genuine. So therefore, theirs can't be true and genuine without putting some other kind of element in there. And I get it, because for some people that is their real life. But for us and what we've gone through, different situations, which we'll probably even discuss how we even met, how we even talked, how we even gained the friendship that we had.
Torture. We covered that.
Ooh, she keeps throwing the shade. Gotta duck. But anyway, as we left out and we talked about healing, because my bestie has been going through some stuff, and through the bulk of what was going on during the later part of last year and even the beginning of part of this year, I had posed that question, Brady, to Nicole. I wanted to know, how did I show up as a friend to her?
Okay.
Did I show up appropriately, as a friend to her? Because, we can have all the turn-up partners in the world. We can have all of the people that are with us, and they can go to the club, and they can work out with us, and they can talk a whole bunch of BS on the phone. But when we're really, truly going through something, how are we there for that person? Whether we are quiet and we allow them to talk, whether we pray with them, and there's so many ways to be with that person. But it was important that I know. It was important for her to share with me. Did she think that I showed up for her well through her healing? Because I value her friendship. I value her as my sister in Christ, as my sister, as my bestie, as my cut-up buddy, all of those things. And it was just extremely important to me. Because I have to admit, back when I was a kid, I'm kind of disconnected emotionally. What a lot of people know, I'm very nice. I talk to people, I'm friendly. But for whatever reason, I am very, very disconnected. So I remember in the early stages in my 20s and things like that, like if someone was crying, I didn't know what to do with that. I'd be like, anything, like,
I think a lot of us.
But you know what? But even knowing and recognizing that I did that, maturity said, you better find a way to work through it. Because people are going to need you and you're going to need other people. How do you want them to be there? And I had to ask myself, Mia, do you have the emotional and mental competence to be there for someone? And, it just started just by, you hear somebody's story and they think that you should be crying along with them, and I couldn't give that. And as I explained with Nicole, and Nicole, we'll talk further, I'm sorry to monopolize this in the beginning, but even with it, I am that type of person first that needs all of the information first. I need all of the information first.
Y'all.
I know it's annoying, but I do. Because before I can emote and before I can tell you how I'm feeling about it, I need every bit of that story told. I need to hear, okay, so what and what and what and what, so that I can process it, because that's what Virgos do. We got to mentally process all of this stuff. And somewhat we do it too, because we don't want to just emotionally react to something. We don't want to make sure that we are reacting inappropriately to something because we don't have the correct understanding. There's a lot of misunderstanding, and we get caught up in a lot of misunderstanding, and people in friendships over a lot of misunderstanding, and people blast people on Facebook over a lot of misunderstanding. It's just a lot of things that go on based on misunderstanding. So we all have a responsibility in that. So when I asked how did I show up to you, how did I show up to you?
I'll put my disclaimer out there first, people. Because she always show up. She always has shown up. But I also know when she show up, I call her nosy and real inquisitive. She like Inspector Gadget. But I get after having so many important, profound conversations with Mia, I understand that she doesn't want to go based off of one-sided. She wanted to make sense because in her engaging me as my friend and sister in Christ, it's about how can I help Nicole learn from this, grow from this, and just evolve. And that's uncomfortable for me because I'm a Leo and we're like that direct person. We need that instant gratification even with our bad tempers. And I'm like, look, and I even joke about it, but it'd be a lot of seriousness. And I'm like, look, I don't want to do this right now. I just need you to let me have this emotion. But she showed up with that accountability piece. Like, I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to listen. I'm going to respect where you are mentally, emotionally, and even physiologically. But you do know that we're going to have to come right back to this point because you're going to stay stuck, Nicole, if we don't address the you role within the situation. What I loved most is that even when I asked her with something so serious that I'm still healing from right now, I said, please don't make me pray. I was like, and I was in tears when I said it. I was like, at a point in that moment, I didn't even have the desire nor the strength to pray, but it was the way she reached for my hand, you know, and held my hand, and I knew that she was talking to God for me. So in friendships or any relationship, even family, when people show up, you can't just be there in a physical sense. You have to be there in a compassionate sense, the understanding sense, the authentic sense. But then you also got to show up with some strength. You got to be a little tough because we like to stay stuck, especially women and women of color. We only know how to stuck, and that dates way back, many decades of why we're like that. And this is why we're talking a lot about breaking these generational curse, because when you stay stuck, you keep doing, it's like Groundhog Day. You keep reliving the same things over and over again. And I remember as Mia held my hand, she cried with me, but then when she realized the crying was just making me fall into a darker space, she made such an inappropriate joke about my crisis that was going on. But it made me laugh, and I felt like that was God's way of hugging me and letting me know that this too shall pass and you'll get through that. And that's one of many enduring qualities about our friendship that I love, is how she's able to keep God in the midst of it, whether she speaks his name, if I ask her not to in my anger and frustration and pain. She prayed for me and prayed with me when I had no desire or strength to do so. And I love her for that, for so many reasons, because I even feel like right now our friendship is being tested. Because like she said earlier, people don't have those experiences of real friendships. And sometimes when I'm that person that I love you enough to let you go and, you know, not make you have to choose, but there's so much ostracizing when people, and Bre, you tapped on it in our first session, when you don't know who you are. You do hurtful things to people, and it seems on the surface to be harmless, but you don't know the depths of which it touches somebody's soul. You know, and for me, I'm all about energy, high vibration frequencies, and being connected to the universe. And I just feel like that's the season, you know, in which God has us in. So if you have people that you're saying you care about and you love, and you're watching them go through something, because adversity don't just mean hardship. It means maybe they're acting out of character, and you should love them enough in your relationship, rapport with them, to say, let's pause. Which me and I do that with each other. I don't like it. I'm not going to sit here and say I like it. It's uncomfortable because it's forcing you to stand in the mirror and look at you and say, okay, this is a defect. And that thing right there is going to cause us to do this, or we're going to constantly do this, inadvertently causing us to break. So you showed up, and I love you for that, and you stay there even now, and I'm going to be 100% transparent. Our friendship is really, really on the line and being tested by someone that we thought was a friend, and because I love Mia and I don't want her to have to choose.
But you don't.
I woke up with a spirit of let her go so she doesn't have to choose. And we just have people out here that don't understand, because you've never had these authentic conversations like us three women and some other people that's in my life. But when you don't know who you are and you haven't invited him in the midst of your life and asked him to take control and taking your hands off, you create so much pain within yourself, because you block off your blessings when you disregard the angels God send you, and you don't hear the messages that's being said, and you don't know, and you don't see what you might be going. She's sitting here looking like she done had the best day ever. I don't know if this woman is battling eviction. We don't know.
We don't
but
know.
we put these masks on every day, and we act like everything is okay. And I'm that person that's like, okay, God, I'm tired. Let me rest and give me my second, third, or fourth win. But you do reach a season where you get tired. You get tired.
Wow. That sounds so much like me last week. I know, a lot of people don't cater to the astrology world, but I do. That's just what I do. But it's astrological, we in a full moon. So during full moons, we purge things and feelings that we don't need no more. We purge, and it can give you the sense of feeling tired. And that's how I was last week in my household. Just being a mom, a single mother, and you just get tired. You talk. You think your children don't hear you. You keep repeating yourself and repeat, and you take care of the bills, you take care of this, then you come here, you gotta maintain your composure, and you dealing with different personalities, and you still have to handle yourself. So last week, I just got real tired, and walked out the house. I was in tears, because I was to my end. And I end up Quarry Lake. Driving. I didn't even realize that I was going in that direction. Okay, so I'm just driving. I was coming up this way, but I didn't realize those back roads were going to take me to Quarry Lake. But the way the spirit worked in my life, it led me somewhere that I can release my thoughts. Mm-hmm. Cast your cares onto the waters, and the spirit spoke to me and said, go with the flow, But as far as the question that you was talking about, Nicole, about family and stuff, what was the question you wanted to get?
How does your family, friends show up for you in times of crisis?
And how do you show up for your friends?
Yeah.
Right. As far as, me, I always was the type of person that treat people how I want to be treated. Mm-hmm. I try to be there for people because I want people there for me as well. But that's not going to always happen. We're going to have people that's just not made up like that. They can do that, but they show their support in other ways. But I have a very strong support system with my mom and my sister, and not a lot of outside friends. I have a lot of people that I know and I can connect with. But as far as the support system, my support system have always came from, and I'm grateful. That's a blessing. Don't take it for granted at all. My mom, my sister, my children, my fiance, my spiritual family, so when I go through, I'm the type of person that draw back and try to take it on. I'm Aquarius. So it's like we in our head all the time. So, we'll see something feeling crazy. We looking at it like it's the end of the world, and our family or who our friends tell us, like, look, it's just a phase you're going through, so. But, we just have to be there for people how we want people to be there for us. And that's being authentic, telling people the truth, loving your people who you love, loving your friends from the heart. Not just saying it because you want them to like you, but really authentically feel it when you say, I love you. Like, I care about you. I really don't want nothing to hurt. And you can feel that if you really coming from where it's supposed to be coming from. It is not just words, So supporting people, you support those the way you want them to support you. And I'm just grateful to my mother. On here, I am Barbara Lee. Grateful to my sister, Beneath the Skin, Skincare. She has her own spa out in Ellicott City. My fiance, he's not on here, but Melvin, the Locs Bay, if he, wherever, somebody is here and tell him. My children, Malone Douglas, Malia, everyone that I have came across in my life, I always try to leave a positive imprint. And majority of the time when they come in my life, they leave a positive imprint. I might not say it, but something that you have said or done in my life, I am applying it, for the better. So, yeah. Other than that, yeah, so.
And I also think it's important that when you're showing up, if you don't know where you are in your life emotionally and spiritually, it's real important that those two pieces, you have some sense of awareness, because when you're off balance there, you bring that vibration into the circle of friendship. And not everybody is as strong as one of the three of us or other persons that we may know to thank for themselves. We live in a microwavable society these days where everybody wants these quick fixes. People don't want to have conversations. People are avoiding conflict because there's been such a negative connotation associated with it. But it is some amazing things that come from when you have that positive conflict. You learn that a lot of the unhealthy conflict is the direct result of unequal communication, and you was getting ready to say, get out of my head.
All right, I'm out.
And childhood trauma. And I'm just seeing where there's so many communities and people are just being more forthcoming talking about that trauma. And I follow Pastor Michael Todd. He's a very young African-American pastor. So if you're not following him, follow him. And he did a service where he had the young girl from the congregation holding on to the adult him. And he's like, 13-year-old me, I thought I was done with that 13-year-old me. But 13-year-old me show up at the holidays, Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving, 13-year-old him go back. But when you understand things from a childhood trauma perspective, with that psychological awareness perspective, then you understand the behaviors you're seeing in the workplace, right. Throughout your own family, throughout your your own life, and just in the world, period. You're like, oh, that's why that person is acting like that. And you only learn and grow when you have these open conversations. And you have to, and I know being vulnerable is scary. Lord knows I know. Being vulnerable is scary, but you gotta trust somebody. You have to trust somebody. And even if the person means you no good, you gotta trust that God got you. Because you're only gonna grow and heal through acknowledging whatever it is that ails you. And that's one of the things I've tried to be very consistent with when I'm posting about Shop Talk or when I'm posting anything. You cannot continue to reside in the very place that makes you sick, and you cannot heal in the same place that makes you sick. I know I used to, when my grandmother, it was called Bones to Kill It. Y'all stop calling it. Y'all stop calling it that, because that's the one charity hospital in Baltimore. Put some respect on their name, and it's Grace Medical Center now. But yeah.
Really great.
But
see, she did that.
People badmouth Bon Secours because they said, you know, it made people that was well sick. And as I got older, I was like, well, how could that be? You're admitted into the hospital, which clearly means there was something medically going on with you. So you were already ill. But as you start to feel better, and even as myself being a patient in different hospitals, I'm like, I gotta break free. I walked out of hospital. I'm like, this place making me sick when you start to feel better, but they want to bill your insurance. That's a whole nother ring. I was getting ready to go on. But I shared that because if you ever think about it, when you start feeling better, or if you have that feeling, you laying on the same dirty sheets in your bed, and you like, I feel better, but I don't feel better. It's because you still laying in infection. You're still in the same place. You get in the shower, you get in the tub, you clean the sweat, the fever, the illness off of you, and then you do what? You go right back and get in the bed that had the same infected sheets in it. What does that have to do with the topic? You cannot continue to associate with the same group of people expecting to grow. One, you should never be the sharpest person in your circle because none of y'all are growing. Nobody's challenging everybody. Everybody's just complacent. You at a stagnant point in your life. That's number one. Number two, nobody's sewing into anybody because nothing's being sold into you. And I also say to people, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you reach a place of complacency, your brain just stopped working. And a young lady did a quick video about it. She was like, you ever want to know why TikTok and Instagram push 5 and 7 second videos? Because they want to lessen our attention span.
Absolutely, they do.
And I used to hate that about me. She'd be like, oh, I got something for you, Cody. I want you to watch it. And I'm like, no good's going to come of this. But, and it would be, I'm like, 33 minutes. 30, and I remember I'm being really, really serious with y'all. I would be like, why would she send me 33 minutes? I could be making a flyer. I could be playing Bijou. But when I tell you, when I was sick, and that was really my thinking. I didn't want to tap into the things that was going to feed me and make me think critically. Nobody wants to think critically, because here's what happens when you start thinking critically.
Tell it.
You become unique and you become public enemy number one. Because you're not conforming.
And you leaving your ego
there
alone.
You go.
You coming out of that self that think it know it all, and you allowing yourself to flow.
Absolutely.
And letting the spirit, you trusting yourself pretty much. And that you have to trust yourself. Like, that's part of this journey of healing, is learning. And really with healing, before you can try to trust anybody else, you got to learn how to trust yourself. Because we have made mistakes to ourselves too, you know, and we gotta apologize to ourselves, forgive ourselves. And then it's like when you start being kind to yourself, you start realizing that you can do the same for others, and that helps you be there for people. That really do, because you don't come from a judgmental aspect. You come from a place of, I've been there too, so I know how to handle, you know. But
it's just really crazy that people more likely and readily willing to be hipsters, to be the go along, to get along people. Nobody wants to say, stop that. Don't do that. Because now you're uncool. It's like being in high school.
It's
all over again.
Everything's about
the
feeling. And
I am so okay with
everything's about the feeling. No one wants to feel left out. No one wants to feel that's that same thing. You see the popular kids, you know, sitting around at the lunch table, and you want to be cool. Everything comes down to still wanting to have that acceptance of everyone, you know, around.
And you're not. I learned that in doing hair. Like, everybody's not going to accept what you did, your style or your way of doing things. And you have to be okay with that. You know, you have to be okay with that. And it's fine. You can't touch everybody.
And
you touch
everybody
you're
is touch. You're not. You're
not meant to.
Right. You your tribe is attracted to you. You know.
That's right.
So
And
that's why we gotta talk about our healing, because that's what attracts people, because they've been through the same thing a lot of times.
But you know what I think is sad? People that have gone through, because we all have gone through, but just like you said, do not put themselves in that space to realize that, hey, you may have gone through, but that other person is too. We like to, remember I used to always use that saying, like, stop staring at your own belly button. Or you're just so consumed in yourself. You're looking inward, but you're looking at nothing. You know what I mean? You're looking at nothing. And a lot of us stay there. We're like focused there. So it's like, it's one thing to say, oh, I went through some childhood trauma. I did this. Everybody should appease me, or they should understand why I do this.
Right.
But then you won't take that same kind of thought process when you see your friend or whomever going through the same exact thing. You're on another level, of course, because it's never identical, but in a lot of ways it really is.
Right.
It's still the same. And you want to sit there, and then it's always, it's like in a spiritual sense. For ourselves, we want mercy, and we want grace, and we want love. But if it's you, I want judgment, and I want hell and fire, and all that revenge, all that other kind of stuff when we don't place the same type of love and acceptance on the other person that we would want for ourselves. So when, like you said, when you talk about that being there for someone else, it is, what would you want for yourself, knowing your situation? You know, do you want them judging your situation the way that someone else has judged yours? You know?
Definitely.
So
we can pose a question to the crowd. You know, pretty much you just said the question. How can you? What did you say? The last thing you just said.
Girl, you know my memory.
I know what you said, but I'm like,
what did somebody say? What I say? I know what I said. Y'all know my memory ain't that good.
So the question to our viewers is this one: how do you show up for people in times of adversity and crisis? And how do those people show up for you? And what and there's a direct correlation to if you find that there's some disturbance and dysfunction in the meeting of that show up, then that means maybe God has been trying to pull you out from that person, because that person is not helping you grow. Right. You should not be the same in your 40s as how you were in your teenage, your 20s, and your 30s. You shouldn't even be the same today as how you were yesterday, because something in the world should have caused you to think critically.
Yeah.
To be a wake-up call for you, because while I understand you cannot control the actions of others, I also understand what you can control is your actions. And people like to be hands off and be like, and I've had people say that to me, like, I'm always rooting for the underdog, and because I was bullied growing up, I'm always speaking up, and I'm always been that person that's like, I gotta fight because no one's doing it for them. And I remember I was a part of this group, won't say the name, and I spoke up for all the ladies in the group behind the scene because I didn't like the injustice that was taking place. And I spoke, and when I speak, if you know me, when I speak, I intend to disturb the order of things. I'm very purposeful. I am very purposeful. It's like, I'm here, hear me roar, and I'm not going to make no apologies about it, especially if I feel personally convicted by God.
But a minute, I got to interject there. Please keep your thought. But there's a lot of thought that goes into that too. It is not one of those things of her just trying to be hurtful or be one of those people like, oh, I tell people what I think. Or, no, they're going to get a piece of my mind or anything like that. It is very, 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 very thoughtful. And I don't mean like considerate thoughtful, but I'm talking about she has put a lot of thought into what it is that she's saying. It's not about ego or telling somebody off or putting somebody in their place. Even if it can come across like that, trust me, a lot more goes into it besides you just wanting to tell somebody off. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That was a good point, because I intend for people to gain something from it. We should then, as adults, as women, be having a conversation. And I'll never forget, Heat is one of my favorite. I'm a movie person with certain clips. And in the movie Heat, there's this very profound moment between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And they're sitting at the table. One is a cop, one is a bank robber, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward, and Robert De Niro says to Al Pacino, he never gets attached to anything that in seconds he can't walk away from if he see the heat is coming around the corner. And I remember I zoomed in on that part of the movie, and that movie is very old. I'm watching
that's old.
But for me, that's how I am. I don't care what the money is I put into something. If it is not what God has called me to do, and it goes against people and abuse people in any sense, way, shape, or form, I walk away from it, because God is going to give me that back full fold. It may not come in money, but it's going to come in another way. And I will never forget I did that, advocating for all these women. Some years later, I would have one of these same women sit across the table from me at a restaurant and tell me that their reason for not speaking up on my behalf with the CEO of this organization is because I didn't want to feel like I was choosing sides. Let me say that again. I didn't want to feel like I was choosing sides. And I remember I chuckled as I sat across from her. And I said, my God, where would we be if the Harriet Tubmans, the Martin Luther King, and them had not chose a side? You cannot have a pretty disagreement all the time. We can be adults and mature about it. That's one of the things I do. I bring paper and pads to anything, because I look good, but I'm 47, so the brain don't work the same. Wow. And I want to stay on task, and I want people to know that when you're engaged in a conversation with me, I'm engaged. And I learned that from her insane Zumba class many years ago. And if people pay attention to your experiences, there's always a takeaway from it. And one of the things she said in her class when she showed up, we was dressing frumpy, we wasn't really doing the moves. And I remember she said, wait a minute, stop the music. And she was like, y'all left the house and you came to class. And we were like, what's she talking about? We here. She was like, listen. If you're going to show up, show up. And I remember I was like, this lady on drugs. What is she talking about? Like, I'm here. Like, seriously, I'm being for real. That's really what I said. And she broke it down. She then became an educator in her right to do so in the class. And she was like, if you're gonna leave your home, fight through traffic to get to this fitness class, don't just show up. Show up. You don't have to be where she is, but give it your all. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? If you're going to show up in people's life, show up. But don't show up messy.
There we go.
Do not show up messy. And we all come with some luggage that's overpacked. But you need to sit still. You need to go through your suitcase and you need to unpack and get rid of the things that no longer have a place there. Because when you start to unpack in people's life, you leave residue here. And this is what we're seeing in today's society. So many people have allowed people to unpack their mess, their wounds, their anger, their trauma in their life. And you see
their misunderstanding. I will even say that.
And you see it in the behaviors. And we talked about it last discussion. We look at the behaviors, but how many of y'all, and this is the third question, how many of you not only just look at the behaviors, but you look at the pattern, and you look at the cycle of it. If I'm hanging with Bree, and I notice every time Bree gets in an unhealthy confrontation, Bree is always the victim. It's never Bree. Even I, as perfect as I am, even I am not always. Right. You cannot always be the innocent angel in every situation. There comes a time when you got to call yourself out on some mess. And I've had to do that. And Mia and I have these authentic conversations. And I don't always like her feedback. I more so love it and embrace it versus the times that I don't like it is when I'm in my bratty, stubborn mode. But if you don't have people around you that hold you accountable, you are missing some fundamental steps. And keep in mind, if you suffer from childhood trauma, you've already missed a lot of pertinent milestones of life. You don't want to be these 60 and 70-year-old men and women that's still walking around talking about something. I ain't getting in no relationship because women ain't nothing. Men ain't nothing.
My father left.
Right. Because you got daddy and mommy issues, or you got you issues. And sometimes we put our own script to stuff. And she don't like me because I got a fat butt. And everybody... like nobody cares. And again, we can't have any discussion and not deal with self. And I really hope that as we continue these discussions, that y'all get something from our transparency, because as I started talking earlier on in this discussion, I shared that right now our friendship is being tested, and I just had to really, ask God, have his way in it. I just can't, but I am very intentful. As she said, I will always speak up for you, but when I see that you don't have a voice, or you don't want to have a voice, out of fear because you want to fit in. Everybody's not meant to fit in, and I don't ever want to, fit in. And I talk a lot. Ironic, I'm an amazing Leo, because people think, you hear a lot that the lion is not the strongest in the jungle, and they're not. But they posture themselves in such a way. It's like, I know y'all praying on me, but what I'm not going to do is walk in a spirit of fear. And it's that courage and just that overall audacity that they have within them that makes them the strongest and ruler of the jungle. And that's me. And it's crazy how God just moved through situations all over my timeline. Was past this, just saying, you can't walk in the spirit of what God called you to do and still have friends. I'm not supposed to have 100 friends. You can't do what God has called you to do and be well liked. And I don't like it, Lord. I want him to stop doing it. But I cry about it. I rant about it. And then I get my second wind. And I'm like, if I'm going to show up for people and be a change agent, I have to take that. So how are you all showing up even in your communities?
Oh my God.
How are you showing up? Are you waiting for the politicians to do everything?
Listen, I know in my daggone community, I'm out there cleaning trash all the time. I know Baltimore City right know my name, because I'm calling because people don't value property. They don't. Like, if they, and I can't say everybody, because I was a renter. It's nothing about renters and homeowners. But some people mindsets just don't have it in a capacity. They don't have the capacity of mindset to know the importance of not littering and throwing trash on people's property. That's not right.
But have they been taught?
And that's it. Have you been taught? Like, is it that shows that it's something in you that's lacking, that you can just take an item and just put it on the street and walk away like it's going to be gone tomorrow. Like, even with COVID, you see masks on the ground. Why are you throwing your mask on the ground? Why are we just in COVID? Like, but stepping up for your community, cleaning up, not waiting for the politician, because you're not going to always get in touch with the politician.
That's right. You
just have to do it. The other day, I was outside cleaning every other day. And sometimes I'm fussing, kicking and screaming. Some days I feel alright doing it. But this particular day, I have a neighbor. They fairly new. And he has a tree in front of his house that people just constantly throw trash in, right? Like it's a trash can. So I'm cleaning it. He's like, thank you, thank you. I said, well, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because this used to be a nice neighborhood. Like, I've been around here 15 years. This area never had trash, never had... So I'm cleaning up. So he comes to me with a bag. And I was like, I ain't even want to take it because I was ranting on him because he's supposed to be picking up his trash. He got trash on his bag. So I'm saying it to think that, okay, let me pick it up. So he brings me a bag with all these nice, like Dove, Vaseline, brand new bottles of lotions
Aw.
and stuff.
He was
I was like,
thanking
thank you.
She was
But it
getting
was
there,
nice
y'all.
because I did need some face wash, so he had some CeraVe in there, so that was cool. But it was a blessing. But you know, take responsibility.
But side
sometimes,
note, that is true. Side note,
Yeah.
though, y'all, people who litter and don't clean up after their dogs
Oh,
are really
that's another
perceived
one.
to be
Girl,
trifling, lazy, and don't have no home training. I'm just saying.
sit down and pick it
I don't know how
up.
we got into this, but it's true. It's true.
You walk
So caring about your neighborhood and stuff like that,
Right.
showing up for your neighborhood. Okay, I'm bringing it back. I'm trying to let you know if you thought we went off.
It's
on a
still
tangent.
healing,
We
y'all.
did.
It's
We
still
did.
healing.
We did it.
It's still healing.
It's everything, because if you're not healed and you can't show up in any area,
Capacity.
right?
Absolutely.
And thank
Right.
you, that's better verbiage. You cannot show up authentically in any capacity if you lack substance and vital things in various places, or even one place. One place can be so disjointed and throw your entire operation off. You ever hit your foot on the edge of that bed, and you know you get up, just think about how that pain shoot up your leg. Your whole entire body is affected by that one
hit.
impact.
Yeah.
And if you think that is off topic, that
It's not.
example I gave is directly related to the topic. When you look at the different areas of your life,
Right.
Yeah.
your friendships, your work relationship, everything is a relationship. It should be a partnership. If you're that person that you always got conflict with somebody and you can't never resolve. Sometimes we have good days. I'm guilty of it. I had good days, bad days. I'd be like, man, I got to buy them a cup of coffee and a muffin, and they be wanting Starbucks. But I do it, and you know my language of love. You be like, oh, okay, that's her way of saying she's sorry. But some days I put my big girl panties on, and I be like, you know what, I was wrong. And I might be shady and be like, but you shouldn't have said that because you knew it was going to trigger me.
Right.
But in all seriousness, we only grow and get stronger with accepting our role. It is counterproductive for me to worry about what Mia is or isn't doing, or what Bre is and isn't doing. And it's even more counterproductive for the sidewalk people to just participate in it, and you don't know Bre, you don't know Mia, you don't know me. But now you have an informed opinion based off of the one-dimensional direction of information, source of information.
That one perspective.
And it's unhealthy. So when you look at those behaviors of your individual self, I want you to then ask yourself, how could I possibly at this moment show up for anybody in a healthy manner when I need to get me together? Because I was that person prior to Mia. I was not a good friend. I was that person, if you ain't want me to tell something, you better be like, listen. And I think I still told it.
Yeah.
But I was that person that did not respect that, okay, this person is entrusting this information in me. And you get to a point of maturity where you know the person is confiding in you. Why do they have to keep putting a disclaimer? Don't say anything. If it's something really detrimental and you're telling a person, don't expect the person not to go and address it, because they are going to go and address it. But we have to realize where our weak points are and decide, do we want to change it? Some people are just okay. They're okay with being miserable.
Right.
I've always been this way. It works for me, and really it doesn't. Because people talk about y'all. FYI, I just want you to know they in some out in bins on our phone. They only agreeing with you because you give them what they want. You know, you got your yes people. You got your yes massa people. So if you like, oh, they always agree with me. Well, let's think. You took them on a vacation and they didn't have to come out of pocket for anything. I'd go to Jamaica with you too.
Right.
But I'm sarcastic, so I'd
I
still
still
get
ain't
small.
gonna agree with you.
I would have about 2 credit cards, but so you really have to start looking at, how do you show up for people in crisis situations, times of adversity? Are you even spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and physiologically equipped to show up for yourself? Because if you can't show up for yourself, I don't believe you can show up for me or anyone else. Not
that we on. I think that everyone should get a journal. Those that are tuning in, you know, I do have one. I didn't bring it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Mine is in the car. I got a
journal. Like, how can you show up for yourself, or find ways that you can start showing up for yourself? Because it's not something that you jump into. It's taking it step by step of whatever aspect you're coming from. Because everybody is different. We just using scenarios to get you to think. So how can you be? How can you show up for yourself, or how can you show up for your family or friends better, or write some of the things about yourself that you love. You know, that's a way of coming into awareness of who you are. You know, when people ask us, and I think I said this on the last one, I don't know, or it might have been somewhere else. When people say, "Who are you?" Not talking about what you do. Yeah, talk about who you are. You know, so these are ways to come in to healing. Healing is such a big topic, but as far as starting to put in the work to become your best self, and that's what we're here to try to promote. Just becoming your best self and being vulnerable enough to talk about what we've been through to assist you with our experiences, to that you can become your best self. And it doesn't take large steps. It's small steps that you can take daily to become your best self.
So before we end though, we have a little praise report. So we got something. We do.
Oh, yeah.
We had something that happened after our first shop talk.
Wow.
So Nicole, I'm gonna let you talk about it because it's exciting, guys.
Yeah,
it was exciting.
I called you from work. I was in tears. It was like the ugly cry, y'all, but I was still cute. So if you recall, the last show we talked about healing, and I disclosed some things. I'm a part of this online private survivors of abuse group, and there's a young lady that's been in there talking back and forth, and then the group got on my nerves, so I muted the notifications. Fast forward, and she reached out to me that day that we did the show, and she basically said after she saw the show, after 33 years of being in an abusive relationship, she left.
She left, y'all, after 33 years.
And I was in tears that I called Mia at work. Snot was like everywhere. And it's amazing how things work, because even after that, people saw where I was posting about it. And anybody who know me, they know if I'm posting specifically, it's a reason. I'm posting with a purpose, as Mia said. And they offered to assist her with getting employment. She accepted the job.
Yay!
And this person doesn't even live in the Maryland area. And I know she's tuned in. I want you to know I love you. She is. I've seen it on
Oh,
here.
good.
I love you.
We love you.
I'm super proud of you. You don't need a lot. You just need God, and you need to learn to trust you. You're beautiful. You're deserving.
Absolutely.
And thank you, because one of my biggest things is I don't want to change the entire world, because that's not possible. But if I reach one person, if I make a difference in one person's life, then God has used me, and I want him to continue to do that. So as always, I thank you for just tuning in, because you don't have to. You just gave us an hour of your life. It's not just your time. It's an hour of your life. Please connect other persons that you know and believe can benefit from the three of us. Inbox me topics if you want to talk about it, because I think our next one, we're going to talk about dating. That's going to be fun. Dating in today's... Well, she'll probably just be on the side bringing us cappuccino. We're going to be really delving into some serious issues. Even dating ties into healing, because how can you authentically and safely date if
you're still broken
and you have not dealt with trauma, because you're carrying that baggage right into the next relationship. So
total different perspective when you take care of yourself first, then meet someone.
And the words of She Reads owner Wanda Reed, through it all, choose you. It is no one else's responsibility to respect, understand, love, and prioritize you. That is your
Your job.
responsibility. So choose you because God chose you.
Amen.
As always, love yourself,
Yeah.
love each other, do so unapologetically.
Peace and love, y'all. Peace and
Shop
love.
talk.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Thank you for joining us.
Thank y'all. Everyone that stayed. Thank you.
Oh, I gotta get up. You
You gotta
closer.
Oh, okay.
Now you got me fussing with you.
Oh, it's hard getting up, y'all.
Wait a minute, you don't know what you're doing.
I
just
do.
thought about it.
I don't.
She's gonna be like, I don't.
I don't know what I'm